Hello and welcome to this lesson about graphing two variable equations. The learning target for this video is using tables to graph. So first, let's talk about what we need to remember. The thing we need to remember is that graphs are pictures of our solutions. And a solution is something that makes the equation true. So for example, we'll pick something nice and easy. X plus y equals 4. We need to think of two numbers that we can add together to get 4. So we have 2 and 2, we have 3 and 1, we have 0 and 4. All of these are solutions, if we especially think about them as ordered pairs. And the thing is, we can keep going on forever and ever and ever. We can get a little more creative, and we can go with something like -2. Oops, let's go just -2. No, there we go. -2 plus 6. That equals +4. We could go with 10 plus -6. That would equal 4. So we have a lot of options out there, an infinite number of options that would make this work. And so graphs are a picture that display all of that for us. So that being said, our graphs are always going to be straight lines that go infinitely on in both directions. So it's important that we connect these points that we find and draw arrows to go past them. Now, to help us with this, let's talk about what we have to do. So our to-do list, the process for finding these graphs. If I say graph something, we're going to want to make a table or make a XY table. And then plot points. Plot those points. And so briefly, really quickly, what it would look like is we make a little XY table. And sometimes I like to make my XY table just a little bit bigger here. So I have my X, my Y, and then in here, I'll leave this wide open, I'll put an expression in there. So for example, we might have something that looks like 4 minus X. And so what I can do is I can put values in. So if I put in 0 for X, I can go 4 minus 0 to get 4 there. If I have X equals 1, I'll put in 4 minus 1, which is 3. And now I have a bunch, I'm starting to create some points that I can plot later. Okay? So this is ultimately what we need to remember and do. Graphs are pictures of our solutions. To do, we make an XY table, and from there, we can start plotting some points. So now let's kick it up a notch and see, or let's look at some examples first, then we'll kick it up a notch. For our first example, let's say we have y equals x plus 2. Okay, so what I'm going to do, if we're going to graph, I want to make an XY table. And I'm going to make this nice big XY table. I'll put an X here, I'll put X plus 2 because that's what's right there, and I'll put a Y here. Now, when it comes to making the XY table, you pick the values for X and Y. You pick the values for X, and then that helps determine what Y is going to be. So what I would like to see is maybe go from -1 to about 2 or 3. The more points you get, the better. And so here we're going to plot, or we're now going to take these different X values, plug it into our expression, -1 plus 2, and it's going to tell us what Y is. So Y is going to be 1. I put in 0, I'm going to get 2. I put in 1, I get 3. I put in 2, I get 4. I put in 3, I get, plus 2, I get 5. There we go. Jump the gun a little. Now what I can do is I can take these XY points and put them on a graph. So -1, 1. -1, 1 is right there. Oops, let me switch the marker. That usually helps. 0 is 2, 1, 3. And we start realizing is that these kind of follow a pattern here after a while. There we go. We have a bunch of points. Now the thing we need to remember is that we just can't leave it like this. We need to connect all of these dots and send them off with arrows, signaling that they go on indefinitely in both directions. So again, we take our equation, make an XY table, and then plot those points. Let's do another example. So for this one, let's say we have y equals 2x. So again, I'm going to make a nice big 3-column table. X, 2x, because that's what's right there, y. Again, I want to go from -1 to 0, 1, 2, and 3, and now fill it out. -1 times 2 is going to give me -2. 2 times 0 is 0. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 3 is 6. Now I go to my graph, and again, I have a set of xy points that I can plot. So here, it's not always going to fit on your graph, especially if I only give you one quadrant. And that's fine. So -1, -2, I don't have space for that. But what I do have space for is 0, 0. I have space for 1, 2, and then 2, 4, and 3, 6. Again, sometimes depending on how the numbers shake out, we may not have enough room. But as long as we have 2 points at the very minimum, we can connect them and make a nice straight line that shows us what that graph looks like. Now, before we move on to the next idea, I would like to kind of show you something. All right, so if we have something that is y equals ax versus y equals x plus a, we're going to see a subtle difference in our graphs. So for this one, y equals ax, our graph will always go through 0, 0. The thing that's going to change is perhaps how steep ax is. Now, we compare that to y equals x plus a. What's going to change is where this graph goes through the y-axis. So it probably is not going to go through 0, 0, but it might go through a line like right here. And this is going to be a. If a is a different number, it might be down there. It might be up here. So the point is that we can take from this, if you have y equals something times x, it has to go through the origin. If you have y equals x plus something, it's going to start on the y-axis at that something. The final thing I want to cover in this video is completing tables. So what we might see is I'll give you some tables and I'll give you an equation, but you haven't seen the whole thing filled out yet. So it could look like this right here. Now, if we're given x and we need to find what y is, what we're going to do is use our evaluating skills. So let's see. Evaluating skills. So what we just do is we take these values and we plug it in for x. Y equals 6 times -3. 6 times -3 is -18. And that is what we put there, -18. Now we do the same thing. Y equals 0. So 6 times 0 is equal to 0. And we have evaluated and completed the table. Now, if we're given y, and we need to find out what x is, here we're going to use our solving skills. All right, and so what we're starting to see here is all the stuff that we've been doing the last couple of months in math class is starting to be used in our daily work now. So here, I'm told that y is equal to 24. So I'll go 24 is equal to 6x. I now need to solve for x. So bust out your mirror line, divide both sides by 6, and we find out that x equals 4. So I'll put a 4 there. Repeat the process. 54 is equal to 6x. Draw my mirror line, divide by 6, divide by 6. X must equal 9. And there we go. This is graphing two variable equations and completing their tables. Good luck with your homework or practice, and let me know if you have any questions.